Good morning. We're in the shop this morning with a mid-century modern style Teak cart my wife picked up. It's a drop leaf table. I've got the leaves disconnected. Done a little bit of work on it before I started the video. This thing's in pretty rough shape, but what was really interesting is that in four corners the veneer had popped up, almost like someone had driven a screw through there that was too long. The holes didn't line up with the screws for the drop leaf hinges, but what they did line up with was the mortise cut by the manufacturer for the drop leaf hinges, right here. And in fact, one of them, when I started looking at it, had blown completely through. So here's the hinges, and here's the hinge, and this part mounts up inside that mortise, this part here. And what I discovered is that if the drawer hyper closes, in other words, if the drop leaf swings down too far, the rounded portion of this hinge will actually go higher than that part that's mortised in, and it actually acts like a lever, and it's just been working at the underlayment of the veneer top and basically just blew through it. It's a really, really poor design. I wrestled with a solution for it, and what I'm going to do is grind down the portion of the hinge right here that at hyper closing extends past that mortise, and that should take care of it for the next owner. There should really be a stop on this hinge, so I can't go any farther, but I'm sure every time somebody dropped the drop leaf and just let it go, it swung down there and drove that up, and that's what blew through. So what I did is I took a real sharp X-Acto knife, and I lifted off the damaged veneer and flattened the substrate, which is actually particle board, and then reattached the veneer with glue and tape, and then a clamping caul wrapped in wax paper and clamps. And I did that on all four, and they came out pretty good. When this is refinished, you're not going to be able to tell they were ever raised. The one was blown completely through, and when you looked at them in raking light, you could see the other three protruding. So now it's pretty much down to a complete refinish job. This thing has to be completely stripped and refinished. It's a lacquer finish on teak, and it's a teak veneer for the tops and the drop leaves, and it's a solid teak for the frame. I don't know how old this thing is. It's a mid-century modern design, but there's been so much duplication of that Scandinavian design. I would think it's probably maybe from the 70s or 80s. I don't really think it's that old. But it'll be beautiful when we're done with it. But just an interesting repair. I wish I had the camera with me. When I started, I could have documented it for you, but you can see that the veneer came up and went right back down beautifully. So we're ready to move on to stripping and refinishing this piece, and then getting it back out there so someone can enjoy it. And we're back on the teak table. We've got her stripped and sanded in preparation for some oxalic acid. Oxalic acid is also sold as wood bleach, and basically what it does is it sometimes will allow you to get water stains that have penetrated the wood fibers out, or at least loosen them up. We have a pretty significant water stain there, and one here that almost sanded completely out. We've got some here and here and here. Oxalic acid comes in a crystal form. It's not very expensive. I keep it in a tin like this. You mix it up with some hot water in a relatively imprecise way. Pretty much all I do is look for a saturated solution. In other words, I put as much in to the hot water as the hot water will dissolve, and when I've got oxalic crystals laying on the bottom, I know I've got the solution saturated. And then you just apply it with a brush and let it dry and pray, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. As you can see, the water has absorbed the two pieces I put in. So I'll give it another scoop. We'll see how we do here. I've had good luck with oxalic in general. Sometimes it hasn't worked, and hey, all you can do when it doesn't work is try to color your way around it, or leave it there as piece of patina, a piece of history of the piece. You can only do what you can do. The worst thing you can do is try to sand out the water stain and either make a divot in a piece of solid wood or burn through your veneer on a piece of veneered furniture. This table is veneered, and the veneer is relatively thick. See, I've got just a little bit of crystal on the bottom, so I'm happy with that. And I'm just going to show you how it goes on. I just use a chip brush and put it on. Now, the one thing you've got to remember is that you've got to do the whole piece. You just can't, I mean, example, if you had a tabletop, you have to do the whole tabletop. You just can't do parts of it, because then you're going to have a real mess on your hands. There's nothing wrong with putting a little extra on a piece, on a stain, particularly if it starts to soak it up. But in general, you want to do the whole piece, and that includes, for me, those leaves out there. So I'm going to turn you guys off, and when I come back, I will be done with the oxalic, and we'll, fingers crossed, see if it takes those stains out. And the first coat of oxalic is on, and I'm not seeing any miracles yet. We're going to let this dry. I'll go get some lunch, but let it dry, and come back and rinse it off, and see if we need to do a second coat or go right into sanding. But I've got a feeling that these stains are going to be pretty stubborn, and we'll wind up sanding them out as light as we can if they don't come out, and then we'll use some color and try to blend them in a little bit. But that's all you can do is try. I suppose I'm being rewarded for living a just and righteous life, but believe it or not, those stains came out. We're still drying here, but I went inside, left this out in the sun, and the stains have disappeared. The top is particularly well done. I mean, came out particularly well. We still have a little bit of this one here, but that's no problem whatsoever. So I think what I'm going to do is rinse this off with fresh clear water, and then set it out in the sun to dry. Hopefully while I put the water back on, the stains don't reappear. That happens sometimes. But in general, we have a result that really pretty much more than I could have asked for. I wasn't very hopeful when we started. Alright, let me get this rinsed off, and then I'll bring you back. We're still drying, but here's the top. You can see that the vast majority of any of the water stains are completely gone. The only one that stayed is this little girl here, and we'll take care of her. I guess my life wasn't as just and righteous as I thought. We've got this one shadowing back in after it was rinsed off. I'm going to hit this with one more coat of oxalic in this corner, let it dry, rinse it off, and that's going to be it. I think we're in pretty good shape, actually. I think once we get this all sanded and get some color on it, I think it's going to be fine. But that's oxalic. Like I say, sometimes it works like magic, sometimes it doesn't. I think we got about an 80 or an 85 on our oxalic test today. By the way, when I rinse it off, what I use is clear water, a scrub brush, and a squeegee, and a towel. And what I do is I flood it with clear water, I hit it with a scrub brush, and then I squeegee it off right away, and then wipe it down with a towel. It's a beautiful sunny day here in North Georgia. It's over 90 degrees, so things are going to be drying pretty quick if I leave them out in the sun. Okay, let me finish up this oxalic, and we're going to move on to when it's all dried out. We're going to let it dry a long time, maybe not till tomorrow, but we'll light sand it and get this ready to refinish. Well, hey, we're back after the oxalic and some sanding. We don't have anything to speak of as far as water stains. It all came out, and I'm well plussed about that. That was great. All right, I'm going to finish sanding this and then take it outside and get the sealer coat on it, and maybe a first coat of lacquer, and maybe even a little bit of color. This is teak. Teak is kind of a yellow wood. We like it to have a little orange glow to it, so I'll probably start by shooting this with just a little bit of cherry and see how that comes out. This corner here is not water stained. That just needs to be sanded out. So far so good. Thanks. And here she is with a coat of sanding sealer on her. Looking pretty good. I'm pretty impressed the way the color has popped on the teak. There's no color whatsoever in this, and you know, I would like to say I don't have to color. We've got places, particularly where we have the water stains, that just are a little bit lighter than the other ones, and I think I may have to shoot a little bit of color on there just to pull some of those light areas together. But so far it's looking really nice. I also took the wheels off, and I'm thinking this may be more marketable as a mid-century end table or drop leaf lamp table rather than a teak cart, but we'll see. So we're making progress. Keep you posted. How's that looking with one coat of lacquer on it? Some sanding sealer, a little bit of light golden oak coloring. Take care of that corner. And here's the leaf. That thing is beautiful. Wow. Loving it. Time for dinner. And we're about ready to put this table back together. I wanted to show you these hinge assemblies and how we're going to repair them. This is the way these hinges install. They screw in like this, and you can see when that drop leaf comes down, this hinge can hyperextend, and you'll see that this upper portion right here can go past the depth of the mortise. And if you look in there really closely, and I'm sorry I'm not getting a really good shot for you, you can actually see where this end of the substrate is crushed. So what I'm going to do is mark this hinge by folding it down. I've taken a Sharpie pen to show the portion of the hinge that extends past the mortise, and I'm going to grind that down on my grinder and then install these hinges. And here's a hinge marked up in the vice grip. Here's my grinder. A little side note, this grinder was a gift from a neighbor of mine, an old World War II vet, who I really liked. He passed away, and I've treasured this grinder ever since. So Hugh, here's to you, buddy. Alright, here we go. And you can see we're bringing that right down there to the other part of the hinge. I'm going to finish this up and then we'll get it installed. Obviously, common sense safety when you're using a grinder like this, eye protection. If you are of that ilk, ear protection, make sure there's nothing flammable around. Use all the common sense stuff. Don't get yourself hurt. Alright, I'm going to finish grinding this off and I'll show you how we install it. And here's the hinge, and you can see now that when it closes, we don't have that protrusion into the mortise space anymore. I always mark my hinges when I take them off. That makes it a whole lot easier to remember how to put them back on. And just like so. And I will run the screws in there and flip the table over and see how things work. And there she is, all put back together. Drop leaves work. Out comes the little drop leaf support. It's nice and level. Finish is good. I would say this is going to make somebody very happy. The other thing that you could do, or I could do, if I wanted to, but I don't think I do right now, even though this is in satin lacquer, it is a little bit shiny. I could use either some wax or some wool lube and rub this down with 4/0 steel wool and take a little bit of the gloss off of it. But in general, I'm pretty happy with the way this came out. So there you go, mid-century modern drop leaf teak cart. Right now it's a drop leaf table. My wife wants the wheels back on. I'll put them back on. But hey, thanks for watching.